Did you know that you can file your Form I-130 petition for relative directly with the U.S. Embassy or Consulate abroad and bypass USCIS's long processing times? In this video, we'll go over how to request an exceptional circumstances I-130 petition, which is the first step to bringing your relative to the U.S. for permanent residence. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. This is the Immigrant Lawyer. My name is Leah and I'm a California-based and licensed attorney. Subscribe if you're interested in learning more about U.S. immigration updates, some parent-friendly workouts, and tips for aspiring lawyers. The Exceptional Circumstances I-130 petition is available to immediate relatives of U.S. citizens temporarily residing abroad and facing one of 7 situations designated by the Department of State and USCIS. The 7 situations are military emergencies, medical emergencies, threats to personal safety, the beneficiary is close to aging out of an eligibility, the petitioner recently naturalized so that a new petition is required for the dependent relative who is now in the immediate relative classification, a short notice of position relocation where a company in the US is requiring the employee to move to a location in the US, and a child being adopted. Now, how do you submit your request for an Exceptional Circumstances I-130 petition at your local U.S. Embassy or Consulate abroad? First, gather supporting documentation or evidence that your situation falls under one of the 7 enumerated scenarios. For example, if it's under the short notice of position relocation, obtain a support letter from your US-based company that they are requiring your transfer or reassignment from their international office or subsidiary to their US location. 2. Contact your local U.S. Embassy or Consulate to see if they can accept your Exceptional Circumstances I-130 petition. You can find your local U.S. Embassy or Consulate through the Department of State's travel.state.gov website, which lists all the different U.S. embassies and consulates around the world. Scroll through the list of locations and identify the city that is closest to where you live. Kindly note that you will need to show proof that you live in that U.S. Embassy or Consulate's jurisdiction, so that, for example, if you live in Tokyo, Japan, that will be under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Embassy Tokyo. And you can show proof that you live in their jurisdiction with utility bills, lease, mortgage, anything that is evidence that you currently live in that area. Once you identify your local U.S. Embassy or Consulate, visit their website. There's usually a separate section on how to contact them, and sometimes they differentiate between non-immigrant visas or immigrant visas, and the Exceptional Circumstances I-130 is under the immigrant visa category. The embassy website may feature an email that you can reach out to with your Exceptional Circumstances I-130 request, or an online form like this one. As you can see, this online form from the U.S. Embassy and Consulates in the United Kingdom website is specifically to request the Exceptional Circumstances I-130 petition. As you fill out the online form, it asks you to select one of the enumerated exceptional circumstances that your situation falls under and to provide a brief explanation of your case. Now, step 3. Once you've reached out to your local U.S. Embassy or Consulate, they will respond to your inquiry via email and let you know whether they're able to accept your Exceptional Circumstances I-130 filing. If they are unable to accept your Exceptional Circumstances I-130 directly at the consulate, you would have to go through the regular way and submit your I-130 petition with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. If the U.S. Embassy or Consulate chooses to accept your Exceptional Circumstances I-130, then you're on to step 4, which would be the U.S. citizen petitioner to attend an in-person interview at the embassy or consulate to submit their documentation. The documentation would include an I-130 petition, or the form, for each relative that is being petitioned, along with supporting documentation, including this. 5. The interview for the U.S. citizen petitioner. So the U.S. citizen petitioner will be scheduled for an in-person interview at the U.S. Embassy or Consulate to directly submit their Form I-130 and supporting documentation for each beneficiary. At the interview, the consular officer will review the packet of documentation, including the I-130 forms and supporting documentation, and determine that the U.S. citizen petitioner has the qualifying relationship to the person that they're trying to petition or the beneficiary. Feel free to check with your local U.S. Embassy or Consulate, but usually only the U.S. citizen petitioner can attend this interview, as the beneficiaries will get scheduled for their own interviews later on in the process. At the conclusion of the interview, the consular officer may inform the U.S. citizen petitioner that their I-130 has been accepted or approved. And that brings your case to the last step, step 6, which is the immigrant visa application for each beneficiary. A few weeks after the petitioner's interview, the embassy or consulate will send out an email containing each beneficiary's login info to the Consular Electronic Application Center, or CEAC, to complete the online DS-260 form, the immigrant visa application, as well as upload their civil document. The petitioner will also need to complete the I-864, another form online, which is the affidavit of support, attesting that they have the financial means to support each beneficiary's immigration to the U.S. Once the DS-260 civil documents and I-864 have been completed and submitted online, the embassy or consulate will then schedule an in-person interview for each beneficiary. Similar to the petitioner's interview, the beneficiary will meet with a consular officer to go through their immigrant visa application and supporting documentation. At the interview, the consular officer will likely request to keep each beneficiary's passport so that the U.S. immigrant visa can be affixed inside the passport. In summary, if you are a U.S. citizen living abroad who is experiencing one of these exceptional circumstances and would like to petition your immediate relative for an immigrant visa to the United States, you can reach out to your local U.S. Embassy or Consulate to see if they would accept your I-130 petition directly. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Mobility Monday. I'll see you next time.